Hi, I'm Louise, the model maker here at Timbertips, and I'm going to show you how to get through some of the trickiest stages of building the Magician. Right, we're on page 11 now, and I'm gluing in part 21 into the groove. Quite important to get this right because it will affect it later on. But the glue on the long sides, drop down into the groove, push right down, and stand this up and push that up so that it's very little gap there. You can put a little bit of card or sandpaper in between, but it does tend to drop back down when you let go. And get the parallel, that parallel there, that nice and snug there, and then just lay that down to dry. I'm going to show you how to do stage 12 from our most recent set of instructions, just in case you haven't got them. You drop this down, then you take cam number 22, put a little bit of glue back, spin around, and down. Then put a little bit of glue around the shaft there and drop the next spacer to be used. Then drop this down with no glue at all, and the next spacer with no glue at all. It will be held in place by the glue above it, gluing the next cam in place. Again, twist it round to get the glue running through. Now, whilst the glue is still drying, have everything in this position without pointing down, and hold the first cam you put on so most of it is pointing downwards. Take cam 26 and turn it towards you. So that one's going down, this one's going towards you at right angles to the other one. Do that again. There. Before the glue's dried on what you've just done, just check that this will spin as freely as that, and that this fork will drop up and down easily. Then you can leave it to fully dry. Just want to show you something that's in our new instructions in case you have the old version. If you remember, you glued this part 21 into that groove. Now what you need to do when you've got this table part in front of you is measure from the bottom of that part 21 that you've glued down to the bottom of there, and that's 40 millimeters. Now from the bottom of there, mark the same 40 millimeters. Put the glue on the two long sides and glue in place. At 40 millimeters. Then leave to dry. So in this case the measurement was 40 millimeters. You might find it plus or minus 2 millimeters from that, but whichever, just take that measurement and repeat it here. When you get to the point where you're gluing the table front to the table top, this next part is very important as it will affect the rest of the model. Plenty of glue along there. If you've got it to help speed things up, a couple of tiny blobs of super glue, and lift it up and over with those two bamboos either side of that shaft, and line it up. You can see the back of that with the back of the cutout central. Then, if you have one square, you can just hold it in place so that the gap is the same all the way down, and just hold it until it has gone off. It's exactly vertical. I just wanted to show you in a bit more detail the positioning of these linkages. The one for the left hand side, the one without the block attached to it, is the first one to use. Put a bit of glue on that shaft there and let it drop down. What you need to do now is you're dropping that into the large hole and this little linkage over that peg and that block. It's a bit of a fiddle. Easiest to drop it over the link, this small peg first, and drop that into the hole. You want this to be absolutely horizontal, so you don't want that link to fall all the way down to the bottom. Use something like this just to pull it up and then let the glue dry that you've put on the shaft. Now as that glue that you put on the underside is drying, just put a little bit more around the top as well without pushing it down off the horizontal, because that joint has got to take the hands moving outwards, so it's very important that that glue joint doesn't break. Now for the right hand side, just put a little bit of glue towards the end of the upper shaft, and what we're doing is we're dropping that peg into the hole at the bottom, and that hole is going to be threaded along there. Move that out of the way slightly, drop that in, push that along, and you're wanting to show, I think it's about 4 mil, and certainly no more than that, and then just let that dry. We're now going to bring the two halves together. Just want to point out a couple of things for you. This needs to be in this position with the cutout and the lever, the link, that side, and that with a link on that side of it on the flat edge needs to be at the top. We then need to put glue, generous amount of glue all around this end. What we're going to do is we're going to put that shaft through the hole there, and this shaft ultimately threaded between there and into that hole at the end. But first we have to thread these two on once it gets beyond there. You need several pairs of hands to do this. Thread that through. Keep that link spinning. Now, thread that on. And then the wheel. Now as you get the link near there, thread it onto that peg, and as you get the link there, thread it onto that peg. Now try and get it a little bit nearer. You might find you need to move this to one side because these cams are hitting those two posts, stopping you from getting it all the way in. Just be aware of that. Now you have this pushed together and this wheel and spacer are not glued yet. Just make sure that this column is vertical. And so it doesn't mean that you're not necessarily pushing this all the way in. The more important thing is to get this absolutely vertical, so you get a nice square shape there. Just want to show you the gluing and positioning of the magic wheel, and a little tip for getting it in exactly the right place. Put plenty of glue on the shaft. Bring them together. A bit tricky and fiddly this bit. Then use the table to line them up, tabletop. And this edge should be flat, and these two little shafts should be exactly vertical if you look from the back. And then just carefully turn the handle to make sure it is turning and rotating within the groove, like that. That's fine. Then you can take the tabletop off and leave it to dry. And I just wanted to reiterate before the glue dries on the magic wheel that it's very important to have the positioning and the cam number 26 pointing to the left and that straight before the glue finally dries on that magic wheel. Right, to glue the hands on, put a glue shield or any card each side, and then one in the middle to take the weight of the hands, and then the glue inside each of the hands, holes in the hands, drop them down with the magic wheel in that position halfway round to disguise the movement of the wheel turning. Now leave that to dry for about 4 or 5 minutes, and before it's fully dry, carefully take the card out, turn the handle and see if they open and pull back evenly. If one is trailing more than the other, the glue is damp enough for you to still hold the wheel in place and slightly move it in or out to make it so that they close and open evenly. Then leave to fully dry. Just want to show you a different technique to what is shown in the first version of the instructions. With the body, I prefer to actually glue both halves together and then drop the body completed in place. Just put glue on those two surfaces, bring it together, pinch tightly, and then just leave to dry. So now you have the body in one piece. Just do a dry run of fitting it before you glue it in place, because sometimes the underside of these arms graze the top of his forearms. So hold it in place, over, down the back of that cam, right down, and then turn the handle. Now that's fine on that side, but it's grazing there, so lift it off, either sand that down or sand that. And then when you've got enough clearance, put glue all along there and a little bit there, drop it back in place as I've just shown, and leave it to dry.